I believe as a man, you just make a choice. If that woman that's in front of you and you're in the space to where you're seeking to be married, she just may be the one that you choose. I don't think that it's typically like you meet her and then something shifts. I think he's already in that mindset of wanting to acquire a wife. It shouldn't take a man 2 years, but that's not necessarily true. It's predicated on that man's appetite and desire at that stage in his life.
Your husband, your partner. I've watched so many of your interviews, and you often call him, he's such a G.
He's
such a G. You said that.
G.
Just like a soldier, if you will, right?
Yes.
It takes, and I mean, he has an incredible career as a music executive, so incredible career in his own right.
Yeah.
It takes an incredibly secure and a G, a real man to be with someone who is famous and so well known. How did you know that he was your person?
Oh, it scared me when I realized he was my person. It was a feeling of safety that I'd never felt from a man before. Like, of not wanting anything from me, but just to see me be great. He also pushes me, outside of my comfort zone and doesn't allow me to get like complacent. You know what I mean? It's like, it's always somewhere to grow and be better. And I see the same thing in him. Like, his possibilities are just infinite. He's so smart and beyond creative, and I respect him. I respect him a great deal. It's not saying like every day is like peaches and cream, because it's not. Like, we're constantly in this flow of loving each other and figuring some things out as we're evolving as people. You know what I mean? As husband and wife, as man and woman, and, people in this world. I just, he's a G. He's just a G.
He's your G. I love it. And I read that he knew on the first date that you were going to be his wife.
Oh, he said that?
I read this. I read that he knew. And I also read that it didn't take you too long to know, or at least have that thought like, oh my God, could this be my husband? Is that accurate?
No, it freaked me out. Cause like, I remember watching someone say their vows and I go, oof, like, that's a lot. Like, this is me like listening to it in my 20s going, oh, that's weighted, man. You know what I mean? Like, thinking that. And then, when I finally was able to say it to him, I could keep myself together. You know what I mean? It was like in the sweetest way, cause I respect it so much, but yeah, he's a G.
Do men really know on the first date or early on if she's the one that he wants to marry?
Yep.
You think so?
I do.
Okay, go ahead and elaborate.
Well, I'm an advocate for it because that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? So I knew right out the gate what it was. I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew what type of woman I didn't want. Right. And so when she displayed all those characters in which that checked the list, I was like, oh yeah, it's game on. I didn't need 2 to 3 years to know the type of woman that I was getting into it with. Right. Now, mind you, that also came with, me being in the streets a little bit too, but but understanding the type of woman that I wanted. And I put myself in the space as well. And I was doing the things that I needed to do. So I do believe that men do know what they want. Now, again, that's just me. That's just me. I know some men, it takes time for them to, really pay attention to the woman that they're dealing with. There's certain things they need to check off. But I do think it's more common than it is not, that a lot of men will get married within the year.
Okay, Matt. I did want to ask some more follow-up questions just to give a little more context, because every man's situation and background is different. You mentioned that you were in the streets. So how did that play into you choosing the one that you have now? Like, what was it that she presented for you, and what was it that you needed because you were in the streets?
Well, I think it's also, because I also came out of the military too. And so, in being in college and everything like that as well, I've dealt with many different women as well. And also being able to have that family dynamic at home, I also saw what it was like for a woman to be a wife, right? And so how she treated her husband, my father. And being able to see that and seeing the different women that I've dealt with and how they didn't display certain things, it's like, all right, you're not the wife type. So I already categorize you in this area, in this space.
I think it's very important to mention that you had some experience with plenty of women, and then you was like, okay, this is what it is that I'm looking for. So you got to be careful with that, because when people hear what you initially said, they would think that if a man meets a woman that exhibit certain qualities, he's going to automatically know. You have to get some experience first to figure out what it was that you didn't like and what you did like. No?
Well, I wouldn't say that necessarily though, because I already had the foundation from my parents to know what it is. Now with dating these women, with dating certain other women, because it's not just laying them down and getting a box, nothing like that. But it's just interacting with a lot of different women and understanding the type of qualities that they display. It's like, yeah, I don't want to deal with her. I'm good on that. So it's not on that aspect of I'm dating these women 2 to 3 years. And it's just interacting with these different women and understanding their thought processes and how they move and how they operate. We're able to observe that. It's like, nah, I don't even want to deal with that. So that's what I mean by that. So yeah.
Okay. So if you had the foundation, then what took you so long?
Being in the right space. Because again,
what does that mean?
So being in the right space. So I'll give you an example, right? Going to college, being around a lot of different women, right? A lot of the women that I've interacted with, they didn't display those type of characters. But as I grew as a man and learned, and then I had the experience going into the military as well, being in different areas, I found my woman when I rooted out here in Arizona. I found my woman out here because I put myself in a certain space, and I found that woman who displayed the same qualities. And so that's when I knew when everything was checking off. I said, okay, so this is the one, and boom, I knew right out the gate what it was. So it's also a feeling as well, but it's also understanding the checking off the box too.
All right, True, what you want to add to this as far as men knowing immediately if she's a wife for him or not?
I think it's BS. I think we say it because it sounds good, and it's definitely gonna depend on the man. And I think women typically do ask this question because they want to get like the blueprint or the G14 classified secret, like, oh, how do I know? I believe as a man, you just make a choice. If that woman that's in front of you and you're in the space to where you're seeking to be married, she just may be the one that you choose. I don't think that it's typically like you meet her and then something shifts. I think he's already in that mindset of wanting to acquire a wife. This is my just outlook and opinion on it. And I think Courtney even said something to it without him maybe realizing he exposed it. She showcased something that had hit the alarm go off, or the notification of what he was already seeking go off. She had to show. And sometimes I think that's where the disconnect is. In the dating exchange, a lot of women don't want to expose what they bring, like the mindset. They want to put it behind a 90-day or 6-month or whatever time frame, instead of just being their awesome self and showcase of what it is that they can bring to your life as far as value is concerned. But yeah, I don't think that men actively are just like, oh, I knew immediately. I think that that's nonsense, and it could be terrible based on that man, but I think he's already in a space to where he seeks that. She just so happens to be there, whatever value she presents, and then he executes on his already made choice. That's what I think.
But wouldn't that kind of speak to what I also said though, True, in regards to if I'm already in the headspace, so I already know what I want, so it shouldn't take me 2 years, because if it takes me longer than 2 to 3 years, that means I'm not in that headspace, or I'm not seeking what it is that I'm actually looking for. Wouldn't it speak to that?
Yeah, that's why I said it's BS. Because of the fact that it's phrased that it shouldn't take a man 2 years, like you said, right? This is what we're telling women. It shouldn't take a man 2 years, but that's not necessarily true. It's predicated on that man's appetite and desire at that stage in his life. So basically, when he's operating from, okay, I'm ready to acquire a wife, he may not tell nobody that, but he knows internally. The woman he meets, she's a candidate for that. And so if she just so happens to be what is enough, he just executes on it. So it wouldn't take 2 years because he's already actively walking through life every day with this mindset. That's what I'm saying is like people bad it because they're trying to make it seem like if he has you around 4 years, he doesn't want to marry you. That's not necessarily true either. He just hasn't decided that he wants to be married. That's what I'm saying.
So that makes him indecisive, though.
Not necessarily. I don't know if it makes him indecisive. I think that no matter what, you can't move a man's mindset to where he doesn't want to be. Like,
well, I mean, you already know. I mean, us instinctively, we already know if we want to be married or not, even in the younger ages. We know if we want children. We know if we want kids. We already know that in the back of our head. Now, that time frame can change. We may say, listen, I want to have kids and the children by the age of 22. However, that may end up being the age of 36, just because of life be life and sometimes. So in that aspect, sometimes it happens for people in the luck aspect of it, like, okay, I wasn't really looking for it, but this shorty, everything, the stars aligned, and boom, this was it. So it happened at the age of 26. But if I'm being intentional and I know what it is that I'm looking for, if I already understand, like, listen, bro, I want to get married. I already know the type of woman that I want. And when I'm out here in these streets, even if I'm out here in these streets, if I'm dating, I know these type of women that I don't want to be with. But now that I know this woman who's displaying everything that I already see because of the foundation that I had before with my parents, it's like, I know what I want. Now, it shouldn't take me 2 years. And so that's why I'm saying, like, so no, you're right too. I'm not saying that you're right as well, but also this also can be true as well. Like I can know within a month, 2 to 3 months if I want to marry this person or not. It's just taking the action on, okay, so let's go ahead and get married. Let's make it happen. So I do understand what you're saying though. I get it.
In my opinion, it's a multitude of factors, but just to be precise, it's critical that I think the critical piece is whether a man can see the woman with somebody else, or he can continue to live life without her, or the idea that she might be touching and loving and being intimate or connecting with somebody and building a family with her. Once you find a woman, there's some things that come into play. The physical attraction. I know I would marry her based off the physical attraction. She checks that. The emotional connection, the communication, the economic compatibility. She check all those blocks. That's one thing. But the critical thing is, do I want to get out of the game? Yes, she's a wife. I've run into many women that can check it. But I still want to play the field, so I won't get married at that point. But if I decide to, she's right here at the right time and right place, so she's probably going to get the ring. And then there's another factor. If you're waiting so long, because this is whenever we were young, I think Courtney probably was the same age as me when he got married in his 20s. But if I'm 40, 50, and these options are coming in my way, it might be a sense of urgency. So now I got to have some type of intentionality. Oh, I need to get my seed out. Okay, the best practice of getting my seed out is to do it in the confines of a marriage, so I can decrease the likelihood of crime with my offspring, or trauma, or suicide rate, or any of these things that I'm able to research when I'm making this determination. So now I gotta really literally be intentional. And anybody that checked the blocks, I gotta go ahead and check out of the game now. So it's because it's a sense of urgency versus one young, and it's really not a sense of urgency. It's just a matter of the man deciding whether or not he want to do it. He knows that she's a wife, but I could play the field long enough, and I don't necessarily know how to restrict myself to you because I like the novelty right now. So the man does know that. There's no really wrong way to answer. It's just the timing. And the older you get, the more sense of urgency you get as a man, because you want to get your seed out. You want to actually live long enough to see him as a child and grow into an adult before you pass away.
Let me get some of the ladies involved. You think some of these men full of shit? What's going on? What's going on? I'm seeing y'all smiling and shaking heads and sighing. What y'all thinking over there?
I don't think it's most men, but I do think some men, know that this is the one, because I've heard many stories from men who said that, like my sister and her husband, they met in, not that they went to the same high school, but they had like some kind of internship that was through high school. He was from Connecticut. We were from New York. They met, and he said he knew. And he went around and told other people, like if she was talking to a guy, like, yo, what are you talking to my wife for? Stop talking to her. That's about to be my wife. So he knew early on, and they eventually ended up getting married. She didn't even like him, but he knew that that was going to be his wife. So I do think some men who are marriage minded, who know I do want to get married, that they already have an idea and know what it is they're looking for. And so when they see it, and I'm not talking about, oh, the first day we met, I knew, that was going to be my wife. I think in that moment, that's probably lust. But I think the interaction, like whether it's a first date, I'm asking certain questions and I'm getting the kind of answers that I know can't just be like, for the most part, just made up. I'm watching. So I think when those, things are met, that they could say, okay, she about to be my wife because she's meeting certain qualities. I don't necessarily think that it can, most men would take it to the level of, all right, we're going to the courthouse tomorrow. But it's just kind of like, okay, I see these qualities that I know align with what it is I'm looking for. She wants to be she wants to be married. She wants to be wants to have children. She has her own goals set up. Oh, she comes from a 2-parent household. Oh, like all of these things that they know are on their checklist of things. And then I think a little vetting process. All right, let me see what kind of family she comes from. All of those things add up. I don't think it means I know she's going to be my wife, mean that they're going to get married the next day. It's like I'm willing to invest this time to really vet and know her because I see the potential in her for her to be my wife.
The other thing that we be missing is whenever she do check the block that we're looking for. As a man, we got to make a key decision at that point. Do I want to continue which experience do I want to choose? The experience of being able to have novelty and do what I want, or the experience to let me go ahead and tap into this experience of marriage. At that point, it's case by case basis, not you can't generalize it. It depends on if he still want to be fulfilled by just being able to knock down any joint that he passed by, or whether or not he want to check out and go ahead and deal with this woman. But then he start weighing, okay, if I get married, what is the cost of me, checking out of the game? Potential divorce, potential dealing with a woman that might become combative. Because we can argue that in the beginning, everybody can check all of the boxes. And it's just my experience. I think people been married for 5 to 10 years on here probably can vouch. Over time, the person that you're dealing with could be unbecoming of a wife, or if y'all want me to stop, I'll stop. Go ahead. I think it's rude to do that, but go ahead.
Well, look, as far as the statement was, as far as knowing, I don't know about knowing, but you have an idea. In my opinion, most men have an idea, but you got to continue to do your research and make sure is what you're seeing the real thing. If she's living behind her, just her conversation, is her actions following up with her speech. That's the most important thing. Talk is cheap where I'm from. Action speaks louder than any words. And if her action doesn't live up to what she's saying, now I got to reevaluate the situation. But you do. I think most men do have an idea that she's a wife type material. Now, whether you want to pursue and jump on that and go from there, but I think most guys have an idea.